Egypt, and Egypt got economically affected also by the war, and now they have shutdowns from 9 p.m. And even European leaders started to think about the idea of taking sides from the Iranian war in a way that some of them think that it might be an interesting idea for European leaders to take some side of that, so they can get more support for the Ukrainian war against Putin and Russia.
Yeah, I mean the entire world has been affected, but there's a recent documentary that was released on PBS last week, in which it all kind of started with October 7th, the war, and you were in Gaza a month or 2 months before October 7th. How is it now? How is Gaza today?
Yeah, I mean, as you rightfully pointed, it all started with October the 7th, and the catastrophe never stopped since then. The catastrophe that started in Gaza and in Israel and then to Gaza is now reaching everyone in the Middle East. And even in Gaza, we are talking, yes, we do have a ceasefire, and everything was supposed to be enhanced after this ceasefire to start talking about rebuilding the Gaza Strip and X and Y and Z. But as expected, the war in Iran gave some of the Hamas hardliners a position to take and made them change some of the ideas or some of the decisions that they took before the ceasefire. And I tried to explain that in the piece that I wrote to Middle East Uncovered about the offer that was presented by Nikolai Miladinov from the Trump's Board of Peace, which includes disarmament of all the militias, including pro-Iranian regime militias or even anti-Hamas militias, for a complete reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. As he said, a first step towards a Palestinian unity. We are talking about all political factions with the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, and the first step to resolve the Palestinian question. Now, as I anticipated in the article, one day after that, Hamas's hardliners and those who are known to be more affiliated with the Iranian regime than the Muslim Brotherhood went in military parades and started showing up in every place in Gaza. 3 or 4 days after we published the article, Hamas's leader, Bassem Naim, who's more aligned with the Iranian regime, went publicly and said, we refuse this proposal. It's quote-unquote unrealistic. This is literally what he said, and we are not talking about disarmament. So it even gave those hardliners of Hamas a position to take, and the people in Gaza are now afraid that they, on the one hand, they became forgotten in a way or another because the attention shifted elsewhere. On the other hand, that it gave Hamas a kind of ammunition against them.
So you mentioned the term Hamas hardliners, which I think I understand what it means, but for those who don't know what that means, like what would you say by Hamas hardliner versus just Hamas as a group? Well, how do you differentiate between who is who?
So to make it clear, it's all bad Hamas for me. There is no good Hamas or bad Hamas for me. It's all bad Hamas for me. But there is also Hamas hardliners and those who are less. Those who are hardliners are more aligned with the Iranian regime than with the Muslim Brotherhood. There is a group of Hamas who is more affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood and mainly in one of the Gulf countries, and with the Qatari regime represented by Khalid Mash'al and other Hamas leaders.
But who are now suffering from Iran, right? Qatar has been hit so many times, and I think Qatar energy has been hit by Iran. So is that causing a split among the Hamas leadership?
Exactly. And even Qatar itself demanded Hamas that they issue a statement against the Iranian war on the targeting of the Gulf countries. And Khalid Mash'al, represented by the political office of Hamas, went and issued this condemnation statement. And even the Qatari regime themselves, they started deporting some of those who are known to be more aligned with Hamas. We are talking about commentators like Saeed Ziyad, the kids of even Nizar Rayyan, who's one of the co-founders of Hamas. He's a very big name when it comes to Hamas, and the children of this guy or the were deported from Qatar because of their opinions or because of the position that they take, that they supported the targeting of the Gulf countries. So we have those who are not hardliners like Khalid Mashal. We also have the hardliners who are represented right now by the military wing of Hamas, talking about Al-Qassam, and leaders like Bassem Naim.
And so for those, there's a side that is kind of a practical, right? Like Khalid Mashal is more willing to play the game, and there's people who are like, there's no I do want to like kind of bring it back also a little bit. There is this I guess misconception or common belief. I mean, now if you go on social media, Arabic social media, that Iran is like the biggest ally of the Palestinians, right? There's this a lot of people that you see on social media saying, "Oh, well, we may not like Iran, but they are hitting Israel," or something of that sort. Where I mean, where do you stand on that? Whether Iran is actually helping Palestinians, and the other side is like, where do you think a lot of people in Gaza think about the Iran question?
Yes, I mean, my opinion, I think, represents many people inside Gaza, that we are more interested with the regime or with a country that supports, starting from the people, starting from downstairs and then going upstairs. And we saw that during the 2 years during in Gaza during the war, and even before that, we saw that during the most humanitarian catastrophe that happened to Gaza, when people needed anything when it comes to humanitarian aid, we literally did not see anything that coming from the Iranian regime. We only saw the Iranian regime giving ammunition and giving some say, some reports say, intelligence to Hamas to do the decision that they did on October the 7th, because for us also as Gazans, it's unrealistic to think that Hamas could have done that alone or without having information or intelligence without the Iranian regime. So the people inside Gaza, I think, who started to support them first, and it was clear for them that the Gulf countries stood with them on every level possible, not only the humanitarian level, because they were generous enough to support the people in Gaza with talking about the UAE, more than half of the international humanitarian aid, more half of what the world sent to Gaza as a humanitarian aid was sent from the UAE, and the Saudi Arabia also the same. They sent, and the King Salman office also sent a humanitarian aid to the people inside Gaza. Talking about the diplomatic level or the political level, also the Saudi led the initiative to recognize the Palestinian state, and we got recognition by the UK, France, and other important countries. So we saw who can achieve something for the Palestinian and who is more interested in building something for the Palestinian, and who's not interested in the Palestinians but interested in destroying Israel. So it matters. This is a question for us: who really wants to support the Palestinians, or who wants to use the Palestinians as a tool to destroy Israel? And I think the answer lies with the Iranian regime, because they do not care much about the Palestinians, but they care about using them as a political tool to destroy or destabilize the region.
So you think that is really the main? I mean, one theory I've heard is that because of like many Arabs reject Iran as a country, or reject the Islamic Republic as a country, they have been trying to use the Palestinian cause to be liked by the Arabs. Like it's a one way for them to get accepted. But in all of the years that you have lived in Gaza, so you haven't seen any help coming from Iran. Like there's no humanitarian aid, no anything.
But you can walk inside Gaza, you can see a Kuwaiti-built city. You can walk inside Gaza, you can see the Hamad city built also by Qatar. You can see many centers started by the Saudis. One of the schools where I studied was financed also by the Gulf countries. But never in my life I saw any civilian infrastructure financed by the Iranian regime. Never I saw a school, a hospital, or anything. But 99% of Gaza's civilian infrastructure is either built by the Gulf countries, by the donation of the Gulf countries, or by the European Union. So this is what I saw.
So yeah, that's a very, very interesting, because I think, yeah, for many people, probably some of the people who are watching, especially from the region, they only get the information about Gaza or Palestinian cause through the news, right? Is many of the news is like, oh, Iran is helping the liberation of Palestinians, it's helping, but the facts say otherwise, right? Is that the facts is?
I mean, there was a single piece of land that was not occupied, which I'm talking about the Gaza Strip. And with the support of the Iranian regime, now it's becoming occupied, whether formally or informally. So I don't think this is true in any way. And as I said again, the interest of the Iranian regime is more to use the Palestinian as a tool than to build something really for them. And I think this also affects the Iranian people themselves, because I also feel for those people that they see their resources, the resources of their countries, being directed towards supporting militias that destabilize the region. And meanwhile, the people of Iran themselves are living not a nice style of living. Most of them are actually desperate to make it out of the country and reach other countries where they can start from scratch. So it's sad, and we understand them, and it even pushed some of the Iranian people to stop supporting the Palestinian question, because they are feeling betrayed, that the resources of their countries are being used to support these militias, and then these militias do nothing literally but bring in wars to Gaza, bring in destruction, and bring in death.
I mean, it's been said in some of their protests about like, oh, we don't want our money sent to Lebanon or Palestine. We want it to be spent on Iran, which connects me actually to the connection that some people are making right now, is that the Israeli plan for Iran is very similar to the Israeli plan for Gaza, which is, I mean, in American terms, blow everything up and see what happens. Or like blow things up and hopefully people from the locals gonna rise up and create like a kind of a domestic uprising of some sort. Has that worked in Gaza? I mean, it's been 2 years since the war started on Gaza. And Israel has done a lot of killing of the Hamas leadership, which is kind of what we're seeing now with Iran. They're targeting Mossad leadership. They've done the same in Gaza. Has that motivated people in Gaza to protest and to take over Gaza? How's that work on the ground? Because it's easier to say in theory that, oh, if we just kill the leadership, people gonna rise and replace it with a liberal democracy of some sort, which of course is too much to ask. But like, how has it worked in Gaza? Like, what's the situation from your analysis? What's been the story there?
Yeah, I would say it's possible for two things to be true at the same time. I would say that yes, they killed many of the Hamas leaders, but at the same time, they killed many of the Gaza population, of the Gaza residents who were not affiliated with Hamas. Now, we saw how some anti-Hamas militias started to develop a model of anti-Hamas militias to go after the remainments, if one can say, of Hamas, and to try kind of be a transitional government for Gaza or something like that. But so far, this anti-Hamas militia model failed in Gaza. We are still talking about...
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that it didn't work out?
I mean, one is the reason that I just said, that many of the Gaza residents were killed by the Israeli bombardment, and they see these militias more aligned with Israel, so they are not that interested in going with these militias. It's possible for the people of Gaza to oppose and hate Hamas at the same time to oppose and hate Israel because of what they did during the war. So I think this is happening. This is one thing. And on the other hand, still Hamas has its influence inside Gaza, and I'm talking about the financial influence. And Hamas has been doing that since the ceasefire started, and they started allocating some of the countless donations that they managed to fundraise during the Gaza war. and they started to pay for the widows, for the families who were killed, for some of the families who cannot secure their living, and those people simply do not have any alternative to secure their living. This is one thing. The other thing is the problem with the anti-Hamas militias themselves, that they, to a large extent, they have bad actors. They do have bad actors, and
And you wrote about that as well. You wrote a couple of articles on this, which I invite everyone to explore. But if you can explain it, what do you mean by bad actors?
Yes, it's we have those bad actors within the anti-Hamas militias, and some of the residents already tried actually to go try live there, and some of them even was a very prominent Gazan resident whose articles were shared by the White House, by other big institutions, who was living there. I'm talking about Mu'min al-Natur, but Mu'min al-Natur himself, he decided to leave the place and leave the place where he was staying with the anti-Hamas militias, because it wasn't a nice experience for him to live under the Abu Shabab militias in Rafah, because according to Mu'min al-Natur, they were mistreating him, or they were not that nice to him. So giving absolute power to those militias is the same mistake of giving absolute power to Hamas and isolating it in Gaza in 2007.
And so, as I think some of the people might know, Abu Shabab is dead, right? So he was killed. So is it gone? Is his whole militia gone now that he's died? There's no any uprising, any new groups forming? Like what's happening on that front?
No, actually, the militia is continuing. The Abu Shabab militia is now, Abu Shabab was replaced by Ghassan al-Duhaini, who was his vice president of the militia, and we also have some other smaller groups in northern Gaza, in Khan Yunis. Some were led by Yunus al-Astal, or some by al-Mansi, and another guy who's leading a small anti-Hamas militia. But so far, since those militias were established, the numbers are very small of those people who were willing to join. And even there was some videos of residents who made it to these militias and then made it back to the areas to live under Hamas, because according also to the report, and there is a public report about that, and the guy who made it back, he said that he didn't like it because it wasn't a nice model. It was a model full of drugs, model of full of abuse, and completely not a nice treatment. Not what the people of Gaza thought would be the alternative of Hamas.
So I have two follow-up questions, which are a bit non-political. As someone who grew up in Gaza, how does Gaza look like? Like for people who've never been. For most people, it just looks like on Google Maps. It looks like a bit of a strip on the water. But how does the day-to-day of Gaza was before the war? Like how does it look like for people who don't know?
Yes, actually, that will take me actually to another article that I wrote for you when I was talking about the misnorms or the false labels that I believe as false labels being applied to Gaza, talking about Gaza as a concentration camp, or Gaza as a open air prison, or portraying Gaza as just Dubai and that's it. And I think the reality is more complicated than the three of those terms. So the reality of Gaza, if you want to compare it with other Middle Eastern cities, I had the opportunity to see some of them after I left Gaza, and I think it was in a way or another better than this. And Gaza had many
better than other Middle Eastern cities.
True.
Oh wow,
that's true. I was surprised actually when I made it to Egypt and saw some of the old cities, and then thought of Gaza, and I thought of my mind that Gaza is being developed in a way that people do not see, that people do not understand. And even actually before I left Gaza, there was some enhancement in the economical situation, and there was those people, the biggest financial sector that brings money to Gaza is the people who go work inside Israel officially. And the number of those workers were something between 30,000, 60,000, and even the Israeli authorities were talking about the most extremist right-wing government, which I think many in my personal opinion, they have war criminals inside this government. But that said, nevertheless, the same government actually decided to raise the number of the permits for the Palestinians to become 200,000 permits. And that was just a few weeks before October the 7th. And if that decision was applied on the ground, that could have shifted Gaza to a totally different place, because when those permits for the 30 or 60,000 workers were open, the Gaza economic situation started to be enhanced. Some money started to come to Gaza and started to creating new jobs. We started to see some cafes, some restaurants being opened on the Gaza seashore that some people see right now and are being shocked. Is this the Gaza that we were told about? This is the Gaza that we were portraying as a concentration camp. So I would say that before October the 7th, Gaza had a good opportunity, and it was supposed to be enhanced. But unfortunately, the same decision, October the 7th, destroyed all of that.
So like the situation was getting better. So why do you think they did it? Is it because Iran told them to? Is that
I mean,
why do you think they did October 7th?
I would say there was multiple reasons for that, but one of them that they saw that the Palestinian question, according to Hamas's leadership, is being forgotten, and the Abraham Accords are also being marketed in the Middle East. We were talking about Saudi Arabia possibility of joining the Abraham Accords before October the 7th, and other countries. And they also noticed that there is some kind of shift in the mentality of the Gazans when these permits were open for them, because also the feedback of those who went and worked inside Israel and then made it back to Gaza, it wasn't as anyone expected. It was somehow a positive attitude, because those people had the opportunity to work with the peace movement also inside Israel. I'm talking about the movement near the Gaza border. They call it the Kibbutzim, or the peace movement. So the attitude was shifting. The attitude was shifting among the Gazans. The attitude was shifting among the Arab countries, and Hamas's leadership felt that they are being sidelined, and this is the thing that they hate the most, to feel sidelined or to feel that they are irrelevant or no one is caring about them. So I think that was largely a big reason why did they do October the 7th.
Wow, these are two important points. A question for you as a Gazan and Palestinian, what do you think about the Abrahamic Accords? I mean, there are a lot of people, I know a lot of Palestinians who have a negative view of the Abrahamic Accords, because they say it's kind of bypassed the Palestinian question. It just made the relationship between the Arabs and the Israelis, and then ignored the fact that there is elephant in the room, that the Palestinians don't have a state or don't have the rights. So what's your stance on what do you think of that? What's your stance of the Abrahamic Accords?
I mean, talking about making a distance between Palestine and the Arab countries, let's just go back to one of our first questions, which is how the Palestinians think of the Gulf countries, talking about the UAE, which signed on the Abraham Accords, and politically and humanitarianly, it did not abandon Palestine. As Hamza, personally, I believe that every country should have the option to decide whatever they want. I do love my country. I love Palestine, and I want it to be not only recognized as a state on paper, but I also want it to be a state on the ground. But that said, I cannot also deny the agency or the option for the other countries to decide whatever they want for their countries. I cannot stop them from taking whatever decisions. They are not responsible for me. But that said, the UAE, who signed on these Abraham Accords, prevented in a way or another the annexation of the West Bank, because that was their condition when they signed on these accords. Talking about abandoning Gazans, no, they did not. They supported, as I stated at the beginning of the live, about with more than 40% of the international aid. And even when Trump started the Board of Peace, they pledged more than $2 billion for this Board of Peace, who's supposed to be responsible for rebuilding the Gaza Strip. So that happened, and I wouldn't say it's the perfect solution for me as a Palestinian. I would always support a solution that includes the Palestinians. But that said, I cannot say that Hamas was the perfect partner for peace. I cannot say that they would have done it anyway. So my position from the Abraham Accords is that every country should have the option to decide whatever they want. And I don't think that this will mean abandoning the Palestinian question. As I said, the Emirate gave an example of that. And I hope whoever country will think of the Abraham Accords will follow the lead of the UAE. They can sign whatever agreement they will do without abandoning the Palestinians.
I mean, 2 years later, I mean, I also see the UAE is very involved in the kind of the Board of Peace and kind of the new. How I know you wrote an article on the Board of Peace 10 days ago, and also with the Iranian war being waged, is that it's getting less attention. What's your thoughts on what's happening with the Board of Peace right now?
I mean, to an extent, the Board of Peace is actually working behind the scenes. At the beginning, I thought that it wasn't the best idea, and the people all focused with Iran, including President Donald Trump and other actors. But I'm also following the news of the Board of Peace, and they are still doing things that matter to Gaza. We are talking about Azerbaijan. A few weeks ago or a few days ago, they decided that they will send, I think, thousands of soldiers as a peacekeeping force. And in a way or another, yes, this Board of Peace bypassed the United Nations or the UN. But to an extent, that wouldn't be the worst decision, I would say, because some institutions, in a way or another, proved to be not functional or could not find a solution for conflicts like my conflict, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. So I would say that I'm open to listen to new ideas and to try if these ideas can work or not. I wouldn't say that I would be conservative and just stick with the UN and that's it. I would try whatever body, whatever institution that can really do a solution on the ground.
So you're a practical guy. Before we jump into audience questions, and some of it already said in advance, you have written. One of your most read articles that you have wrote for us was related to your asylum in Germany. How is that going? Is there anything that donors and institutions can help with your case? How is your case going in terms of your situation in your new home of Germany?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a bit of fighting in court because.
I'm here. Yeah. I'm because I'm using my phone, so I need to go find the questions. Yeah.
So yes, I'm still fighting with the court and trying to, because now is not the best time for a refugee. It's not only in Germany but anywhere, the US or Europe or whatever, because the attitude is becoming more conservative toward refugees. But I think I would need also some support with the authorities to understand that. It's still possible that some people deserve an opportunity, and I'm trying also to use this opportunity that I got. I so far I have like a half an opportunity because I'm not accepted yet, and I'm trying as much as I can to contribute to the country where I'm staying. In less than 2 years, I contributed much to the media and to political parties, and now I even finished writing my book, and I decided to publish it in German first because of my belief and as a way to say thank you to the country that gave me this opportunity. So I think if anyone is watching, the idea is in a way or another to talk or to push on the authorities to maybe reconsider the case or to understand that it has some of its speciality, that it's not the regular asylum case that you read about it.
Yeah, I mean, of all the asylum cases there is, I think you're the one who deserves it the most. Yes, that's something that we will definitely keep fighting for, and please keep us posted on that subject because we definitely I saw one of the commentators says we need more practicality these days, and you are one of the champions of practical things. So
I think we may have a little bit of technical difficulty with Faisal's live stream. We will hold until he joins back again. Thank you,
I
Hamza.
will actually just make a point about the Abraham Accords until Faisal comes. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah, the point also about the Abraham Accords when it was offered also to the Palestinians at the beginning to the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas. I also took a look at what was presented or what was available on the internet, and from my perspective or from a Palestinian perspective, it wasn't a perfect opportunity or it wasn't a perfect proposal that was presented to the Palestinian. But my criticism to the Palestinian leadership was back then that, okay, take this offer and leverage on that, or take this offer and ask for more. But to just say a blind no and without talking about another proposal is a mistake. Is a mistake that we saw happening during the 2000 with Yasser Arafat in Camp David. It was also a mistake in 1947. So I would make it clear that it wasn't perfect for the Palestinians, but the problem was that no one took that offer and said, okay, I will take that offer and start from there and ask for more, or this offer, I will just need some enhancement in these points and it should be fine for my people. But unfortunately, the answer was a blind no.
so Yasser Arafat that came into media recently because of the fact that and that's why I think our countries are all connected in a way, is that when Saddam invaded Kuwait, or Iraq invaded Kuwait, I mean, Saddam was our leader at the time, and Yasser Arafat at the Arab League said, the Kuwait question cannot be solved without answering the Palestinian question. And I think that, and then Yasser Arafat at the time made a lot of enemies with the Gulf states because he actually sided with the Iraq against Kuwait, and I think Kuwait had a lot of Palestinians living there at the time, and the Kuwaiti reaction was canceling the Palestinian visas of many of the Palestinians who used to live there. And in hindsight, what do you think of Yasser Arafat? He's viewed as a hero by Abu Ammar, he's viewed as a hero by a lot of people. Do you think he got it wrong? Like, do you think he should have accepted the offers that he received?
I speaking about I will go back to the Kuwait and Saddam point, because it's exactly what the Iranian regime now says about Palestine, how they will make the road to Palestine through Syria, through Lebanon, through whatever. So just to make it clear for the audience how the Palestinian question is being used by those terrible leaders, in my opinion. Thankfully, the Palestinian government's position this time was better, and they sided with the Gulf countries, and they made a public statement about the position during this war. Now, talking about Yasser Arafat, I think of him as a normally human being who did some good things for the Palestinians, who also did some catastrophic mistakes for the Palestinians, including the one that you just pointed out. And what matters to me the most is not to attach Yasser Arafat and make him the Palestinian question, or because this is a grave mistake that we can do to the Palestinian question, is to attach it to one person or one idea, and that's it. We have to see Yasser Arafat as a human being, like any one of us, who did terrible mistakes, who did good things for the Palestinians, and that's it. The problem is some leaders, or many leaders actually, within the Palestinian Authority are trying to make the Palestinian question or the Palestinian struggle as Yasser Arafat's struggle, and this is a catastrophic mistake. Yes, as Yasser Arafat brought some attention to the Palestinians, but he also did some catastrophic mistakes, whether we are talking about the Camp David or even before that. So I see him just as a normal leader who did some good things and bad things.
Mansour, probably you should ask the questions, because I cannot get them when I'm using my. On the last question about Hamza, your book, so it's now available only in Germany, or can people buy it in the US, or where can people get your book?
So far, I do have the German version, and we will have the a German in Russian in a few weeks. But still, we do not have. I did not publish it in English. Still looking for a publishing house in the US or in the UK who will be interested in reading the book and maybe publishing this message. Where, in a way or another, I try to give another story for Palestine or for the people of Gaza that is not 100% victimized narrative and not 100% terrorist or martyrdom narrative, trying to tell the stories of the normal human beings who are living there.
We will see each other in June in Oslo Freedom Forum, and there will be a couple of publishers I would love to introduce you to in terms of English publishing. But I think your message needs to be everywhere, Hamza. We're so proud to have you in our contributors and team, and we wish you best of luck. Mansour, please, can you take the lead on the questions part, so that way
100%.
I don't have to. This is our first Instagram live, so I'm sorry to figure out the technology and how to do this.
100%. Thank you so much, Hamza, for being here, and Faisal. So someone asked, one of your contributors, this is again about the unfortunate case of Shelly. One of your contributors, Shelly Kelson, was just kidnapped in Baghdad, allegedly by Katib Hezbollah. What does this say about the safety of American journalists on the ground right now in light of this war?
The short answer is there is no safety for American journalists in Iraq. There is no. I mean, on a personal level, I have messaged Shelly on March 10th. That was when she was leaving Syria to Iraq, and my two questions for her: are you safe, and do you think it was a good idea? Unfortunately, Iraq is not. Now it's on the news again because Iraq is firing rockets on Kuwait, on many other Arab countries, and the biggest question right now is who's actually in charge of Iraq, and the answer is there is no one in charge of Iraq. It's a failed state by most accounts. It's an identity. It's a country from a identity standpoint, but from a functional state standpoint, it's pretty much an Iranian province. The same way that Puerto Rico is part of the United States, Iraq at the moment is an extension of the Iranian regime. So the State Department has mentioned it, and no one should go to Iraq, especially if you are a foreign citizen, because you're going to be used as a negotiating tool. And I think that's what's going to happen for Shelly in the next couple of weeks, is that she will be used as a tool to negotiate. And I really wish that I really wish that's the case, to be honest, because I hope that she will not be killed and we lose one of the best people out there in international journalism. And we miss her already. Hamza, if you have anything to add.
No, I think you made the points clear because you are more aware of me of Iraq's situation, and yeah, I think what you said is completely true, and I wish nothing but the safety and the freedom also for her.
Yeah, that's yeah. Please also go ahead.
Yep. We have another question that's about today actually. Someone asked, just today Trump was pressuring NATO allies to get behind the Iran campaign. How are European governments actually responding to that, and what does it mean for the alliance long term?
Well, Hamza is in Europe, so.
Yeah, I mean, one of the points that a prominent journalist made to, as far as I remember, to the Finnish prime minister, if I was not wrong, that why not the European leaders tell the Trump or the American administration that, okay, we are willing to support you in the war against Iran in return for more support for Ukraine against Russia. And I think some of them already started considering that, but I cannot say the same about the country where I'm staying in Germany or the UK. But that said, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some of these countries. Spain also made it clear that this is not their war and they are not willing to participate. But I think it's also an important point for those European countries, because they are all tired also of Putin's war against Ukraine, and they want it to stop, and they are tired of the energy prices that came after. So I think it's a legit point to study and to consider if the Trump administration can give more support to Ukraine to end the war to end the Russian war. It shouldn't be that bad to support the Trump administration against the Iranian regime.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, my response is I try not to follow everything that Trump says, because you might get something and then next day he changes his mind and then you will have to change your analysis. But one assumption is that eventually many countries will be involved in the war because of the extreme energy prices. I saw yesterday that the Philippines now, which is a country so far away, so many people think the Middle East is where most of the action is. You have countries like Sri Lanka, Philippines, far in Asia. They're all struggling with energy right now because they get most of their energy from the Middle East. I think that's a lot of countries, I don't know about Europe, but a lot of countries, in their interest is to secure the Strait of Hormuz. I don't necessarily think that they have to change anything about Iran or do any regime change in Iran, etc. But because it is affecting their livelihoods. I saw Jordan is asking people, I think, not to use air conditioning because of the electricity issue. And some of the airlines are doubling their prices because of the fuel. So I think eventually, and I'm at least getting hints from the Trump administration, or at least actually not Trump himself, not the administration, is that maybe the U.S. will just leave. We'll be like, okay, guys, now it's your business. Because America is still the #1 producer of oil. So in ways, like America on a day-to-day basis is affected. I mean, the oil prices have increased here by 20%, I think, but it's not 80%. It's not what's happening in some parts of the world. So that could be an option. And I think the Europeans may consider intervening, but I'm very sure other countries will be, who are struggling more than Europe, will probably have a bigger incentive to interfere.
Yeah, I think also there started to be some usage of Pakistan also as a kind of official mediator, and they started moving some oil ships. They actually moved, I think, 20 oil ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but with Pakistani flags, because they were also accepted as a kind of mediator by the Iranian regime. And also there was some reports that even Trump lifted some sanctions of the Iranian oil to somehow calm down the situation.
Yeah, that's one thing that I still don't understand, is that Pakistan itself is at war. I mean, they have been at war with for a long time, and they're at war with Afghanistan right now. And yet at the same time, they're the ones who can make peace in the Middle East. That doesn't say, it just I don't understand it. It's like Pakistan is like not the most peaceful country in the world for them to be the one handling peace in the Middle East. But I guess what do you think of that? I was like, how is Pakistan even involved in peace in the Middle East? I mean, they need to keep the border safe first before they keep the safety to us.
I would say that it may be one of the last few countries who are willing to engage with the Iranian regime, and is still being accepted by some of the Gulf countries, because they also have this defense agreement with Saudi Arabia. and they are still being accepted by the Iranian regime. Now the Iranian regime is being abandoned, or no one is actually interested in helping them. And I think that to a large extent, because many people were questioning why Russia doesn't come to help the Iranian regime, or why China does not come. And I would say simply because the Iranian regime failed to make any proper alliance with those countries, and they thought that because you have one signed agreement or two, they will just rush to help you when there is when you have a war. But that's absolutely not true. And the only country who's willing to engage right now is Pakistan, in my opinion.
And we saw with Russia, they betrayed one of their closest ally, right? Bashar al-Assad was left, and they left him, because they were busy with something else. And so these relationships are also very transactional. Is at the moment someone is busy and yeah, but it is interesting. Like when for me in my brain, I don't think of Pakistan and peace in the same sentence, but I guess in the Middle East things can but it makes what you said makes total sense. Is that they are one of the few countries that have relationship with both sides, so they actually have the ability to make the same way. I mean, China in 2021, I think, made a deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, right? The Beijing deal that stopped Iran from attacking rockets on Saudi Arabia, because China has embassies both in Saudi Arabia and in Iran, and they were able to be the negotiator. I don't want to take a lot of your time, Hamza. Mansour, next question.
We have two more questions, and I think the last one's going to be a short one. Someone asked, a lot of Arabic media has been pushing for de-escalation. Is that coming from government, independent voices, or is it actually reflecting what people in the region feel?
De-escalation on the war.
De-escalation on the war, yes.
Hamza?
Yeah, can you say the question again, please?
A lot of Arabic language media has been pushing for de-escalation for the current war. Is that coming from governments, independent voices, or is it actually reflecting what people in the region feel?
I would say to a large extent it's both. It's coming from a government, and it's also coming from the people, because on the one hand, for example, I talked about the Egypt example, and the war is bringing an economical catastrophe for Egypt. The dollar prices jumped in a few days, and also the electricity is affecting the people. They now have shutdowns from 9 p.m. and no citizen will be happy of that. They are all affected. And the same goes for the governments, because with these terrible crises, you also have some tendency to destabilize the country. And I don't think any of the Arab countries are willing to engage in another Arab Spring or whatever, talking about Egypt or even the Gulf countries. No one is interested in that. They are trying to save whatever is left or whatever is available from those countries. So I think it's both for the government and the people.
Yeah, 100%. I think they pushed first. They wanted to avoid the war. That's definitely the position of so many people. I mean, including United Arab Emirates, and I was in United Arab Emirates in January, and the position of the UAE was they didn't want a war, and I think that now that the war has begun, and they have seen Iran attacking them left and right and firing rockets at hotels, and they are threatening American universities and water plants, and they attacked Qatar's liquid LNG, Qatar Energy. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they would ask the Trump administration or the US and Israel to finish the job, because now, let's say if tomorrow, actually tonight, Trump is speaking at 9 p.m. on Iran. Let's say he does. I cannot predict Trump. I'm not a psychic, but let's say he says, "You know what? The war is over. We accomplished our mission." I think the Arab countries are screwed right now, because on one hand, they have, on one hand, they have, like, the war didn't really accomplish much to them. Like, they have lost so much money, billions of dollars. And then all of the economies of Saudi, UAE, Qatar, all of the Gulf, they are all want to diversify away from oil. And to diversify away from oil, you need foreign investors. Who is in the right head would invest in a place that the next week you have ballistic missiles thrown at you? Like, I think that, like, either the regime of Iran suddenly stops hating the Gulf, like it will be like, okay, I'm not gonna, next time I'm angry, I'm not gonna fire 100 rockets at your cities. But I think that now they're kind of stuck. I mean, they didn't want the war, and now the war happened, and now it was like, okay, if we de-escalate and they say we just ceasefire, we get what did the UAE and Qatar and Bahrain get from this war? All they got is like rockets going to their hotels and their airports getting shut down. Like, they didn't benefit anything. There was no benefit at all to these countries. I understand their frustration in a way. Like, I'm even Al Jazeera, which is not necessarily my most favorite channel, but even Al Jazeera is now like super critical of the war of Iran and like Iran's response. I don't know, Hamza, if you have seen the interview Al Jazeera made with the head of the GCC, with the head of the Gulf Cooperation Council. You should check it out. And so for those who don't know Al Jazeera much, they don't use the term Israel. They use El-Kiyan Sahyoni, which is the Zionist entity. And the first time I say in Iran, they use terms like Al-Udwan al-Ghashim, Al-Udwan al-Arhabi. They say like Iran is using terrorism against us, which is a very harsh language that I haven't heard from Al Jazeera at all. So, like, now many of these countries that I think Qatar wanted to, what some called hedging, is like, okay, I'm gonna make Iran happy and Muslim Brotherhood happy and America happy and everybody happy, and now no one is happy. now the entire, like, even some of the people they have given platform to end up celebrating the attacks on the Gulf because the Gulf hosts U.S. bases. I don't know if you have seen the same thing, Hamza.
Yeah, I think it's a very legit point. I mean, because the goals of this war for Trump are different, because for the Trump administration, it was destroying the nuclear capabilities, the ballistic missiles, and the proxy militias. And I think they did lots of success in that, in a way or another. I'm not sure about the nuclear capabilities, but according to the reports that we see online, they achieved some success. So that was the reason why he joined the war, why he started the war in a way or another. And as you said, he's hard to be predicted. He can stop it. He can continue for a few weeks or a few months. No one knows. But it would be a catastrophe, actually, if the Trump administration would pull out from the war and just leave the Gulf countries to face it, because they are all good. They are all good allies with the Trump administration, starting from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. And it will also change how those countries will perceive the U.S. administration, or which kind of allies who can defend them they will start looking for. Speaking about China or other countries, it wouldn't be surprising if those countries, because at the end of the day, those countries will not stand up watching the Iranian regime just attacking them. They will start looking for whoever can protect them. And I hope it wouldn't be true, because they will start looking for whatever country that can support them to stop the Iranian war against them.
Or make peace with Iran, like make a very strong peace agreement. But I don't think they no longer trust Iran. So it's like they are in a very not in a. I mean, my sympathies go to our Gulf friends, and I wish them all the best. I mean, they have been very dealing with a lot in the past month, so they are in a very difficult spot.
That should be the end of our questions for now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mansoor.
Faisal.
Well, Hamza, thank you so much for joining. Where can people follow you? Other than, of course, Middle East Uncovered and your writings, where your socials?
Yeah, you can follow me on Huwaidi Hamza on Instagram, Huwaidi Hamza also on Twitter. And if you can read or want to learn Arabic, you can also come to Facebook. There we do the local stuff.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. You have been our first guest, and I cannot think of a better person to start this Instagram lives than you, Hamza. We're so happy to have you, and I wish you the amazing evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Habibi.
Bye-bye.